Yes, guys, it's Tiago's Father 89 here from the Red Sea podcast. Tonight we have our FAB 4 Porto preview. We're going to be bringing to you various different topics and discussions around about how Liverpool look to dismantle Porto tomorrow evening. What will the starting lineup look like? Who will we have included in that midfield? Naby Keita has been certified as fit and is back in training. And an interesting little revelation today. Has Trent Alexander-Arnold travelled with the travelling party to Portugal for the Porto game? But we're here. We're ready to go. I've got my co-host with me. We're the Red Sea podcast. Let's go.
Tell the world we are Liverpool, champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. Got Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of Anfield gold. We are all supporters, and we come from Liverpool.
How we doing, guys? How we doing? Is everybody okay?
Yeah, good.
Good.
Excited.
Good. We are joined this evening by none other than the infamous Southern Scouser. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, mate. Yeah, I'm all right. All going in the right direction for me off the screen, and yeah, hopefully more to come on it. Obviously, disappointing in the Brentford game. I was kind of half watching it. I was busy in Cambridge watching a show, but managed to catch it a bit. But disappointing. But you've had your say on that, and we're looking forward now to Champions League football.
I know. And do you know what? I'm super excited about Champions League football. Hopefully, it can provide a little bit of respite, some welcome respite from the weekend's events. Statman Stubbs, it was your birthday on Friday.
Yeah.
21.
21. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's been a hard paper round, isn't it?
Certainly has. Yes. It's been a weekend of celebrations. Really, I've just been drinking all weekend. So
I'm surprised you made it.
Yeah,
Yeah. All weekend.
You can see the alcohol gleaming through.
Come on, Chris. Chris in the comment.
Yeah, Chris. I have to say,
second love.
That's the quickest way to getting you barred on this channel because I'm a Merc fan as well. Big up Lewis Hamilton.
100.
Yeah, 100%. And again, we are joined by PK the GOAT. How are you doing, my man? Hold on. Wait. What time is it over there? What time is it?
It's 6:35 a.m. Yeah. So
listen, I can testify to say this man is the most hardest working man in show business. He was on a pod last night or this morning with myself on the Red Sea Down Under. He's gone and taken a power nap, and he's back again.
Yeah, that's what it felt like, to be honest.
To talk about everything Liverpool. It's good to have you back, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, I've still got some probably sleep in my eye, but we'll see how this show goes, and hopefully it wakes me up a little bit. Actually, yeah. I don't want to be set up again, by the way, by you. You're trying to get me into this Robertson Tsimikas debate. It's
it's coming.
it's a setup and a half, but I mean, I'm all for it though.
Listen, I need to give the viewers what they want, mate. I'm here to give the viewers what they want. And if they want Robertson and Tsimikas drama, then I'm going to provide it. And if you want to play a starring role, be my guest.
It's the Greek surname, isn't it? That's why you got to defend it.
Exactly.
I'm happy to defend him. It's just, I don't want to be. I've seen what Twitter's doing these days, and it's actually mental the way people are carrying on. It's hilarious. So, I mean, to I guess add fuel to the fire. Why not?
Yeah, I know, and look, everyone loves a bit of controversy, especially us at the Red Sea podcast. But we have official business to take care of. There is a small matter of Porto tomorrow evening. Now, guys, look, we've had some recent success with Porto at the moment. They seem to be our Champions League whipping boys. To be fair, let's have it as it is. I mean, I get major nostalgic throwbacks with that orange kit And we're going to do a little bit of that later on down the line in the show tonight as well. But what I want to do is I want to flick it over to our very own Statman Stubbs, and let's talk about the head-to-head or recent head-to-head with us and Porto.
Yeah, so there's been 8 games in total, 4 at the Dragao and 4 at Anfield. At Porto's stadium, we've won 2, drawn 2 of the 4 games, and at Anfield we've won 3, drawn the other 1. So unbeaten in our 8 games. We've scored 16 goals to Porto's 3. The previous matches back in March 2001, that was 0-0 in UEFA Cup. September 2007, that was 1-1 again, Champions League this time. And then the most recent ones, Valentine's Day, February 2018, 5-0 away victory. And April 2019 was the 4-1 victory. All these games have been at Porto that I've included there. So, yeah, very good record. Speaks for itself.
Yeah, I know. And look, it's impressive. It's impressive. And hopefully we can continue in that same rich vein of form, because ultimately we're away again. And I can see that yellow kit making another appearance. if I'm being honest, I can see that yellow kit making another appearance. And I have to say, my eldest son, big shout out to you, Regan. He came in and he said, Dad, what the hell is that McDonald's uniform that you've got hanging up in there? And
he spotted it, I noticed.
Yeah, he's taught me out of it, SS. He's fully taught me out of it. He's put the downers on it. I was so hyped about this kit, but he's kind of put the dampeners on it. And he's like, Dad, why don't you just get like a nice drill top? Like, have you seen the new drill top? Why don't you get that? Like, you could get, he's like, for the price of that, you could get that and a pair of trackies, whatever not. So he's working super hard to talk me out of it.
Have you sent it back?
Yeah, at the moment it's packaged and potentially winging its way back to Liverpool. But I'm standing firm currently and think I'm going to keep it. But as I said, I can see a little bit of yellow kit vibes happening against Porto, which leads me nicely on to where we're at in terms of the squad. I mean, SS, I'll come to you first. Like, do you think that Liverpool will rotate? Because there's a small little matter of Pep Guardiola's Manchester City on the weekend, and they play on Wednesday against PSG away. So they've got to travel also. So a day later than us, a day less recovery from them. So do you see Liverpool going all guns blazing to potentially take the lead in the group and assert themselves on the group based on match day 1's results, us winning and the other 2 in the group drawing, so we can really get some daylight between us and the rest of the group? Or does Jurgen Klopp rotate and go super conservative with City in mind?
I mean, I did a tweet earlier and I did quite a few changes to the team. I know the news has dropped that Trent hasn't travelled. He wasn't in my 11 anyway. But you get the luxury, don't you, in the Champions League of 5 substitutes still. So, you know, you've got the option to start with maybe 5 or 6 players that wouldn't start at the weekend. And if things don't go well, you can have a Mo Salah potentially coming off the bench, a Jota, a Mane, somebody like of that come on and make a difference. So my 11 to start was Alisson, Gomez, Konate, Costas and Millie as the back 4. Fabinho in there, potentially Hendo coming on the hour mark. Jones and then Ox or Keita with a Mane, Bobby Jota front 3, because I don't think Salah's really missed any kind of game so far. I think he started every game other than the League Cup game. So I expect a bit of rotation. Porto aren't the kind of Porto that we've seen in the past, in my opinion. They are unbeaten in the Portuguese league, but they are 4 points behind Benfica, who have won 7 out of 7. So, you know, we saw Milan. We dominated that game. I know it was 3-2, but you know, we were able to win the game. Still dominated large parts with a much changed team, and I expect something fairly similar. We've got a bit more of a gap this time between the Champions League game and the league game, so maybe not quite as many changes as I've mentioned there, but for sure I'd be very surprised to see, you know, I think there'll be a lot of changes from the Brentford game, and I think all of the Brentford team would probably be coming back for City.
You made some good points there as well, and I kind of agree. I think we'll see quite a bit of rotation because City are looking good. They they dismantled Chelsea. It could have been 4. It could have quite easily been 4. Shout out to you, Chris Welch, as well. Milner at right back. Do you know what? Milner's done well at right back, but yeah, we will see.
There's not many options, is there? If Trent's not gone on the plane.
No, there isn't many options. Joe Gomez potentially could play right back, but I know a couple of people have got other ideas on whether they want him at right back or not. But guys, as you can see, sliding across the bottom of your screen, Palace are currently winning 1-0 against Brighton, which would still leave us top of the Premier League, undefeated up until now. So results are going our way. We'll continue to keep an eye on that game as you progress through the podcast. SMS, Statman Stubbs, I'm coming to you next.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts? Are we going to rotate? And who is the personnel that you think will come into this game?
I think you know what Klopp's like. He normally makes 3 or 4 changes. I don't think there's going to be vast amount of changes because I think this game's important at the end of the day. When you think about it, Porto drew with Atletico Madrid the first game. If we can beat Porto, that puts us on 6 points. Milan and Atletico are playing each other. If that can be potential of a draw, we could already have a 4-point lead, which is massive already. When we come to obviously play Atletico, obviously Milner done very well against Palace, so he generally does play him in these types of games. But I'd like to see Gomez play. I think he's done very well. I know he's not a general right back, but then again, Milner's not
right back as opposed to the centre back pairing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd rather see Gomez at right back with Konate and Matip because I think Van Dijk will be rested. I think Tsimikas will play left back for obviously Robbo. Fabinho will be in there. Ox potentially may get a start, and I agree with SS with regards to one of the front 3 being rested. With more than likely Salah because he's played most minutes, but this game is massive. Obviously, if you win the first 2 games, 6 points, then you've only realistically got to win 1 more game and you're already near enough through. So they'll obviously have one eye on the Manchester City game, but I expect us to still go quite strong against Porto and obviously get the result that we need.
I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said as well. But this comment from Rymental, is Nico fit? Now, Nico Williams is on the comeback trail from recovery from an illness. He wasn't mentioned by Jurgen Klopp in the presser today as on the list of injuries. So I would presume that he is back fit, but probably lacking that match fitness. And I'm not sure if Porto away is the game to bring him into to get match fitness.
I think he's going to feature against Preston, isn't he? Probably.
I was going to say, I think there's some League Cup games that you can probably bring him into. And now this brings me nicely over. Talking about fullbacks, this brings me nicely to PK the GOAT. How are you, man? Because the fullback debate's been raging and you've been at the heart of it, defending your Greek lineage in the form of Kostas Tsimikas. What I'd like you to do is tell the audience how we actually pronounce his name, because I've been getting a bit of stick saying Tsimikas, Kostas. What is it? Let us know.
I mean, Kostas explains itself. That's fine. It's Tsimikas is like the TS is pronounced at the same time, so it's a Tsi kind of.
Okay.
The pronunciation. So it's Tsimikas. So that's you're close. Yeah. So
okay.
It's not like the commentator that we had the other week. He pronounced it with a CH. It was like Chimikas, and I feel like throwing up every time I heard it. So, I mean, but other than that, you're spot on. So yeah.
So PK was briefly sick in his mouth while listening to the Australian commentary of the Brentford of the Norwich game. I probably think. But look, like I said, the fullback debate is raging, and do you know what? Rightly so. Tsimikas has been phenomenal when he's come in. He's contributed, and at the Red Sea podcast, that's all we ask. We ask for squad members, and SS and I have always referred to them as the backup brigade. We ask for the backup brigade to come in and contribute, and he's done that. So, like we said earlier on the Red Sea Down Under, is it not an opportunity for him to come in and really stake a claim and put down a marker and throw down that gauntlet for Andy Robertson. I mean, do you expect him to be party or in the party that's going to play against Porto tomorrow evening in terms of your rotations?
Yeah, I think he plays against Porto. I kind of agree with this whole he'll play Porto, Robbo will play against City, like it's fair thing. But my question is, so Tsimikas plays tomorrow, well, tomorrow for us. He gets an assist, let's say, because at the moment he's recording assist a game pretty much. And he does really, really well. So what happens then? So it's like, okay, you've had your turn now. Now we just go back to Robbo's turn. I just think if he performs away in a Champions League game, grabs an assist, why can't he start against City? Because at the moment, I said it in our show last night, he's got the exact same amount of assists as Robertson in all of 2021, but he's only played 4 games. So why can't he start versus City if he has a super performance against Porto? That's the only thing, like you said earlier, we're not saying he's better or Robbo's shit or swap them. Like, we're not trying to start this war. We want the best players in the best form playing for our club. And at the moment, in that role, I truly believe, not because of the jokes and everything else, but I truly believe he's in a better place at the moment. And we've seen it during the games. We saw Leeds. He takes 2 corners. We score 2 goals. Robbo takes a corner on the weekend and barely makes a front post. So it's something that we need to be aware of. And I mentioned it again last night. We've got to think of ways, how are we going to hurt Manchester City? I know it's Porto tomorrow, but you've got to try and think, what's the best way we can hurt them? If it's through a cross, a set piece, if it's through something in these kind of ways, who's better at the moment in hurting opposition? That's my question. And I think at the moment the answer is Tsimikas.
We've not had that luxury, have we? You look at Chelsea, they've got a £50 million left back in Chilwell, but Alonso started so well. He's kept in not just for the league, but for every game.
Yeah,
100%. But he's kept him in. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, on form.
But here we've got this thing where it's Tsimikas is just on the back burner for as you mentioned, the cup games and all the other kind of stuff, and he'll get an assist and play unbelievable. Then the next game it's back to Robbo again.
Stick with the form, maybe. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, the debate will continue to rage all season, and you know, I'm here for it. And like SS said, it's been a long time since we've had sustained competition for places, and that's right across the park, not just only left back positions. It's been a long time since we've had competition for places, and I really, really think that's heating up. We've seen the addition of Ibrahima Konate. Tsimikas has finally started to show the qualities which we all knew were there. He was bought for his crossing ability. We all knew it was there, but the disjointed start to his Liverpool career, I don't think done him any favours. COVID-19, injury, adapting to the language, adapting to the people, all of that can take its toll on the Premier League player. We've also got, players like Minamino who have come in and contributed of late as well, and almost put in the kind of the more established guard of honour to a little bit of shame in terms of like Divock Origi, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, that have been at the club for a long period of time but have failed to contribute when called upon. That leads us nicely on to another debate that's been slowly cooking away and slowly raging. Curtis Jones. And again, PK the GOAT, I'm going to come to you because this is another one you've been at the heart of. You've just been starting fires everywhere on Twitter and just dropping bombs and grenades. This is another one that won't go away. And I know you feel strongly, so I'm going to pass the mic over to you. Does Curtis Jones get a start against Porto?
Well, the answer for me is obviously yes. I mean, with I don't know. You think you boys were telling me that Keita is back, but at what cost? Until he trips over at home or something, and bruises a piece of skin, and then he's out for another 3 weeks. So, in terms of who's available, there's not many availability around, so you can't really rotate too much. Like, because Milner more than likely is going to play right back, so there goes his position in midfield. And then, Henderson and Fabinho, we need them at their peak versus City on the weekend. So then, if you look at who else is available for rotation, it's Ox, and for me, he blew his chance against Norwich, and then and Curtis Jones. So if you need to rotate, then Curtis Jones, I guess, not rotate, but he's 20 years old. I'm sure he can play like Pedri. He can play 50 games in a row if he had to. He's just got that youth on his side, and people forget he's 20 years old and already made 50 appearances for the club, by the way.
Yeah.
So he's earned all 50 starts. I mean, Kate has been at the club for 4.5 years and just got to 50. So I just think with Curtis, I think everyone's like, oh, we need that midfielder who can help attack. He's standing right in front of you. Like you saw it against Brentford. Other than Salah, the next biggest goal threat was him. And we almost score from his shot that he kind of comes across it, hits it across his body, and it goes to the far post. And keeper, I think, hits the post or something. The keeper makes a decent save, and then 15 minutes later, he just rockets one in. We need that kind of player who's got that no fear about himself. So that's what Harvey Elliott came and kind of gave us that same energy. And people forgot that Curtis Jones has that energy already. We saw it last year. So for me, Curtis Jones starts against against Porto. So it's something that I don't think it's even a debate anymore. I think he's our next best midfielder that's available.
Yeah. We need goals from midfield, don't we? We've always said that the midfield don't score enough goals. You've got one right there.
Well,
but he's got that arrogance about himself, though. He's got that arrogance that even at 20 years old, he looks at the opposition and goes, "I can get at you, no problem."
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, SS, I'm going to come to you on this because you and I have been critical at times.
You more so
about Curtis Jones. Yeah, I have, and do you know what? I stand by every word that I said. For me personally, I feel in order to be a key component in Liverpool midfield, you've got to do the basics. You've got to do the basics. And I felt sometimes he slowed the ball down in transition, where it was a case of him trying to dictate pace and secure the ball. When sometimes when we're frantically bombing forward and we're trying to capitalize and overload and break on the opposition, that's not what you need. You need a fast ball forward, a punchy ball into Salah, into Mane, into Jota, into Firmino, because we're doing damage on the counter attack. And I felt that he failed to do that. But Brentford really opened my eyes. And his performance at Brentford was absolutely sensational. It was a stellar performance and got his rewards with a goal. But straight away after, substituted by Jurgen Klopp. And
yeah, strange, wasn't
it? In the presser today, Jurgen Klopp was questioned on it. And his response was, performances like that, last one, help for sure to get more game time. Is he indicating that he's seen something like we all did in that Brentford game that we all knew was there? And has Curtis Jones now emerged? Because I tweeted from the Red Sea Twitter, I said, Curtis Jones has announced himself. So is this now Curtis Jones? Is this him?
Well, I mean, he announced himself with that Everton goal, didn't he, in the League Cup a couple of seasons ago? But he's never really got his.
That, though, didn't
he? Yeah, he's never really got his chance, has he? The only reason he played last season was because we were down to the bare bones. October, November time, he got sort of four or five starts in a row. Didn't he? Was playing in the Champions League. I think he scored against Ajax at home, and I think he did one misplaced pass in his own half, which cost a goal or something. And then, like you say, he was out and not really seen again, because I think Jurgen realised that there's a fine line between arrogance, confidence, and I think it was just starting to get a little bit too far ahead of himself, forgetting the basics and looking for that Hollywood pass, maybe one pass too early. So, like Pete said, he's 20 years old. Like he's not going to be his fully mature self yet, and he's not of that same industrious ilk that we're so used to seeing a Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Henderson midfield. He is not that. He is a different option, something we've been missing and crying out for a while. We tried to sign Fekir, 3 seasons ago. Curtis Jones is better than him. So we've got that player that can play in the midfield free, can go wide, and can move up to that 10 as well. So it's such a good player, such a young, bright spark prospect for Liverpool. We did that question the other day, didn't we? Elliott or Jones, who's going to have the bigger career? And we were all it was good, wasn't it? We're all kind of having a good debate about it. But I think in our heart of hearts, we want to see Fabinho behind both of them in that midfield free within the next 2-3 seasons. And that gives you a real mix of a box to box, a DM, and a creator. Which Mascherano, Alonso, Gerrard. That's the kind of perfect combination. When you've got a forward that can put it in the net as well. So yeah, I think again he's getting his chance because Elliott's injured, Thiago's injured, Ox isn't playing very well, and Milner's probably going to be covering other positions. But yeah, what more can he do? He's taken his chance. He's scored a really good goal. And yeah, I feel that the Brentford sub was almost made before he scored that goal, and Jurgen Klopp decided to just keep it, when really he should have reacted to that goal, maybe brought on a Milner or even gone to a back five with a crazy ding-dong game like that and seen it out, which, for a manager of that level and that experience, I think was a big mistake to do. So yeah, he definitely starts against Porto. Whether Naby Keita's fit or not, I would pick Jones over him every single time. I would do for the last 2 years. So, when you come towards that Manchester City game, it's Fabinho, it's Henderson, and it's one other, isn't it? So we're at home. Do we need to have a Milner as well as that in that midfield? Probably not from the start, but I think Jones could start the next two. Maybe not finish the 90 minutes, but definitely start them.
That's a massive, massive claim from USS that, he could potentially start the next two. Just some quick housekeeping. Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the Red Sea podcast as well. If you are not already, please pop a little like on this video and also hit the bell notification so you can keep up to date with everything that we've got coming from the Red Sea podcast and the Red Sea Down Under. I promise you will not be disappointed, and you do not want to miss out on what we've got in store for you this season. Also, quick update. Palace bottled it, and it is 1-1 against Brighton. But great news.
We stay top.
Liverpool top the table as Brighton failed to win. So we go top on 14 points. Brighton stay 6th on 13 points. Now, Liverpool obviously are unbeaten at the moment in all competitions. So we're still doing well. We're still absolutely flying. I'm going to flip to a couple of the comments as well, guys. Chris is in there as well. Full-time 1-1. Another one in here as well. Curtis Jones, confidence, not arrogance. I think there's an element of arrogancy in his performances sometimes, but you want a bit of that. You want a young player to carry himself with a bit of a swagger, and I think
you need arrogance. You need it. 100%. You need it.
You need it.
There's a fine line. There is a fine line between the two, but I think you need to have that self belief that you can go at anyone.
100%. 100%. Ultra 3-star swordsman. Hello to you too as well, mate. Hello to you too. What's this one here? Thoughts on someone like Morton or Bradley to feature in this game? Both the same age as Trent.
I think maybe the return leg when it's the 5th or 6th game in the group, we've already qualified. Then yes, but not yet.
That's a very good point though, because Trent absolutely starred in that Porto game when he popped on, and I put a picture up earlier on, and he looked like a little spring pup, but he was unplayable. But I have to say, Trent is an exceptional talent. And Morton and Bradley have got a little way left to go before they can say they're in that kind of league. Trent has set the bar so high in terms of youth academy prospect that anybody else coming through is potentially going to struggle to match that. And maybe as Liverpool fans, we might need to adjust our kind of what
we've been pretty lucky, haven't we? We've been pretty lucky with the recent ones, haven't we? Curtis Jones, Elliott. You go back to Gerrard. There's been a lot of successes coming through. Carragher.
There has been, and the academy is starting to produce as well. The academy are starting to produce, which is good. I mean, Chris Welch dropping a couple of bombs in here as well. They should do an Amazon Prime documentary, mate. That should be a Spielberg movie because that will sell out. What really happened in that medical? What really happened with his brothers trying to stifle more money out of the club? Who will never know. But we're just going to jog it on slightly. And Statman, I'm going to come to you as well. Let's just talk about the key threats that Porto possess. I'm hearing a lot of talk because look, I can't say that I watch the Portuguese league. I watch Bundesliga, I watch Liga, I watch Premier League. I may watch a little bit of Scudetto, but Portuguese league isn't on my watch list. But I'm hearing a lot of talk about this Corona. I mean, Corona's been running an absolute mock for the last 18 months, and it's been a virus. I don't know about a player, to be honest. But I mean, where does he feature in terms of their top threats, and could he hurt Liverpool in tomorrow's Champions League tie?
I mean, obviously generally speaking, I don't watch. I'm like yourself. I don't really watch much of the Portuguese league, but I think they play 4-4-2. He's more of an attacking midfielder. Is Corona? I think he's played against us a couple of times and hasn't really done too much anyway. Like Ryan Mendel's just said, Grujic potentially could be playing. And there's also Chancel Mbemba as well, former Newcastle United defender.
I think he's suspended, isn't he? Was he sent off against Atletico?
Okay, well, fair play. But the obvious one is Marega, isn't he, up front? He's a big powerhouse. So they used to have Brasimi, but I believe he's gone to some team in Qatar. But I would say the two main ones are Corona and Marega for me.
Okay. Ryan Mental makes a good one here in the comments. Grujic. Is he not going to be turning up with a point to prove? Because
I love Grujic, by the way.
Yeah, so do you know what? PK, I'll come to you because Grujic was a talent. There's no denying it. He's got something about him. I just think that Liverpool grew faster than he did. That our ability and what we had in that midfield excelled way more than his talents did at that time, and subsequent loans, and now he's left the club. Could he be a man to do some damage in that midfield and cause that Liverpool midfield some problems?
It's funny because everywhere he went on loan, he was loved. So when he went to Germany, they were obsessed with him. Then when he was I think it was at Cardiff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then they were in love with him. In Porto, obsessed with him. So it's kind of odd how it didn't work out with us because we actually don't have a Fabinho, so to speak, cover. So we don't have someone that says when Fabinho's out, there's this natural DM, physical, tall, strong, good passer of the ball that comes in and just goes, Fabinho, have a rest. Because we know Fabinho's injury record isn't exactly the cleanest. And I was hoping that this would be the year because obviously without the signings and all that kind of stuff, they would actually keep Grujic and give him his chance because we've seen, obviously Oxlade-Chamberlain gets chance after chance after chance after season after season. And it's just like, well, what about Grujic? He's got this structure, physical structure, everything. He's got, I don't know, I was actually a huge fan of his. And every time he played in preseason, he was good. So I'd love to know what happened there. So I think
he bullet headed, didn't he, against Barca?
I would love to know what happened.
Yeah.
So it's for me, it's like, look, will he be, playing with a purpose? I think so. And I think he's going to be quite physical because going back off what Statman was saying, they're definitely a 4-4-2 team. They change it up to 4-2-3-1 every now and then, but definitely 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2. Diaz is a huge threat, and also Taremi. Taremi is a big threat. He's a tricky little striker. He reminds me of what's his name at Wolves?
Jimenez.
Raul Jimenez.
Yeah.
So, similar kind of player at the front there, so he can get in behind. He's quite good at hold up play, and he's good off the press. Their strengths at the moment have been actually quite good in the air, both offensively and defensively. They're like similar to Brighton, how Brentford practice their set pieces. They're quite a set piece kind of side, so we've got to be careful of that. And they're very good at just creating chances for people like Diaz and Taremi and everyone else there. So they're quite an attacking team, which is going to be interesting. But going off the Grujic thing, I hope he has a good game, to be honest. I mean, obviously I hope we win. That's nothing, you don't have to say anything about that, but I hope he has a good game just to kind of say, well, look what we lost.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to see a player formerly at Liverpool going on and doing well, but I don't want him to come back and do any damage. Thank you. I hope he has a terrible game. To be fair, I hope he has a terrible game and doesn't do anything against us. That would be great. But guys, just jog it on slightly. And Statman, I'm going to come to you on this as well. I mean, Brentford was a disappointment. Was a huge disappointment, and I've already been very vocal myself personally about my thoughts on the Brentford game, and I just felt that we just treated them with no respect. We didn't respect the opponent, which got us into the situations that we got into. But I don't want to go into the whys, the wherefores, the hows, because that's what you're for. I mean, do you think that this Porto game is pivotal for us to respond in terms of that Brentford result? Do we have to go to Porto and lay down a real statement performance to say, do you know what? That was just a blip. This is an emphatic result. Over to you, Manchester City. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we need to get back on track, but the likelihood of obviously everyone playing who started against Brentford, it's very unlikely. It gave me sort of them vibes where it brought us back to the days where we were watching Skirtle and Sacco defend like the Norwich game, the 5-4. We were just all over the shop on Saturday. Was it a bit of arrogance? Did we think we were just going to go over there and steamroll them? To a degree, potentially. I think maybe a lot of them thought it was just going to be one of them games where we'll just get a few early goals and it'd be a walk in the park, and that was never going to be the case. So we do need to try and bounce back, put in a strong performance, and let's not take away the last two performances against Porto at Porto of being 4-1 and 5-0. So 9 goals scored, only 1 conceded. It would be a good message if we can get a few goals and 2 wins from 2 in the group. So yeah, we need to obviously defend a lot better for a start. But yes, we definitely need to put in a much better performance and defend from the front, and yeah, just be all around concentrating and don't let the occasion get to us.
I agree with everything you said there as well. And sometimes these Champions League nights have an ability of letting the occasion get to us. SS, I'll come to you. Do we need to put down a marker and put an emphatic performance in against Porto? Just to say to Manchester City, be ready for the weekend. Bring everything you have, because you're coming to Anfield. You're coming to what seems like a fortress again. Because at the back end of last year, the fortress was breached on more than one occasion. Are we back? Are we back to saying we're going to go unbeaten again at Anfield on another 50-game run, or is it just part and parcel now? We're going to drop points at Anfield going forward.
I don't think tomorrow lays down a marker if we win 5-0 to Manchester City. You know, they're playing PSG. They've got a really difficult game.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. We should, you know, as Statman just said, we've scored 9 goals in our last 2 visits, and that was the last 16 in the quarterfinal. So there were better Porto teams. I don't see this Porto team getting out of this group. We should be going there and winning comfortably. And if we don't, it's, you know, it's more advantage City at the weekend if they get a result against a much better opponent in their midweek game. That the marker we have to put down after the 3-3 Brentford is to beat Man City on Sunday with a clean sheet and say, we're here for the title, we're top, come and knock us off if you fancy it. So, you know, we've beaten Man City, you know, a couple of times in the last 3-4 years at home, and sometimes it's led to winning the league, and sometimes it's been painfully short. But I don't think anything of tomorrow is going to be linked to the City game. If we were playing Atletico Madrid, potentially more so. If we was to, you know, if we put a really strong performance against them ahead of a City game, they might go, oh, actually, you know, that was really good. But Porto are one of those Champions League teams that are always going to qualify. And realistically, if you want to do anything, you need to be brushing them aside. So in terms of, you look at Man United, they lost in the Champions League, they lost in the Carabao Cup, and then they lost in the league. So yes, you know, I don't want it to become like that. You know, I know we only drew. It's not like we lost to Brentford, but we're top of the league. So we all need to have a little bit of a deep breath here. But yeah, you know, that's like Statman said, 6 points out of 6. Let's get this done as soon as possible. Atletico back-to-back coming up. If we can avoid defeat or win one and lose one, we should be through. But yeah, I don't see an initial link. I don't think Man City are going to be too scared of us, regardless of the result this week, midweek. And yeah, it's all on Sunday really for me.
You made some good points in there as well, but there's a lot to be said for a polished performance, and I'll come to you, PK, because as someone who's involved in the game, regardless of result, regardless of who you're playing, where you're playing, what competition you're playing in, you want your team to go out and put an accomplished performance in, which shows real intent. As the last game was just a blip. We've come here, whether we win 1-0, 2-0, or whether we win 5-0, but we were flawless. And that shows meticulous preparation. The game plan was stuck to. There was no blips. There was no moments where we even looked like we were in any spot of bother. So I'm talking about a stellar, super accomplished performance. surely that's going to give Pep Guardiola food for thought, because Pep analyzes everything. He's going to be watching that game. He's going to be looking for weaknesses and little chinks in the Liverpool armour. So if we go out there and, like I said, just put together a nice polished, and I refer to it as nip and tuck, yeah? We put a nice little nip and tuck performance in, isn't that going to get his brain ticking a little bit?
I think he'll make up stories in his own head that happens during the game anyway, because we've seen in the past he's obsessed with Liverpool and he overanalyzes Liverpool. Even on that documentary in the Amazon Prime one, all he does is talk. It was versing Everton and he's talking about Liverpool. So I think that no matter what we do, he's going to talk about us anyway, that weird person that he is. But I don't know. I think that Klopp actually starts Firmino, Salah and Mane to kind of, I don't think we can say we're going to have a strong established performance if he rotates it too much. So if he's kind of like chop and change the entire team, it will be a kind of a disjointed performance, because don't forget, if their last game was against Norwich in a cup, then all of a sudden their next game is away in Portugal. You're talking about chalk and cheese in terms of, because Porto are a decent side. They're a seasoned Champions League side. So regardless, we have pumped them in the past, but they're still a certified Champions League club. And that's where I think it may take 20, 25 minutes to get into the game if it's completely rotated. And then again, Pep Guardiola can't look at that game and go, well, that's what we're going to face on the weekend if it's rotated. So, but if we go full strength, then obviously we can kind of say, well, are we in the rhythm? Are we in the mood for City? But I think it'll just depend on the starting 11, to be honest.
I agree. You made some good points there. Yourself and SS make some good points there as well. But guys, again, just a little bit more housekeeping as well. Like and subscribe. As you can see running across the bottom of your screen now, we are on the way to 400 subscribers. We would love for you to be one of those. So please get involved. As I said, like, subscribe, press the bell notification just so you can keep up to date with everything that we've got going on with the Red Sea podcast and the Red Sea Down Under. And if you don't know already, we are on all social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok. You name it, we've got it, and you can catch us there at the Red Sea podcast on all of those. I'm going to get to a couple of these comments as well. This one's a funny one. Liverpool could be in a relegation battle, and Pep would be obsessed with us.
Yeah.
Welch, I think Chris Welch, I think you're right as well.
We all live rent free, don't we? We're in Ollie's head as well, aren't we?
Yeah. To be fair, we're in all of them rent free. To be fair, this one as well. Yeah, those two are different things. Peter, Pep changes actual formations and tactics, whereas he sees changes if you play around.
I kind of have to agree with that, though. I do agree with that. Like, I think that's spot on, because we've seen it. So that's a good comment.
Very good point. We should not sleep on Porto. They knocked out Juventus. Think they beat Chelsea. Always seem to get out of the group. Held up Atletico.
They are missing their goalkeeper through injury and Pepe as well. So that's two big misses for them.
Two big cocks in their armour. But guys, this is the part of the show I've been looking most forward to, because I love a bit of nostalgia. I love a bit of walk down memory lane. I love a bit of where were you when this happened. It's a nice little game I like to play when I'm hosting the Fab Four, and we're talking about teams which we've come up against before. So, throwback, 2019, Porto against Liverpool. Where were you, SMS? Where were you when that game was on, and what do you remember about that game? Because that orange kit just gives me shivers, because it was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. It was a stunning thing. My boys love that orange kit, and it's seen two of them wear it. It's on number 2 now, and I'm sure that my youngest is probably going to want to wear out of it as well, because it was a stunning kit. So where were you?
It was Valentine's Day, from what I remember as well. And I think Salah.
Valentine's Day massacre, mate. That's what that was.
Yeah. Salah mishit a shot, and Mane tucked it in, which initially was given offside by VAR. Took 5 minutes to make the decision, but eventually got the right one. I think Trent played a great through ball for Salah's goal as well. But I think like I always am, generally either at home or watching it in the pub. And I think on this occasion I was at the pub watching the game. So yeah, remember it very well.
SS, I'll come to you.
Mm.
Where were you? Probably serenading a lovely female somewhere.
That wasn't the orange kit, by the way. That was a red. We were wearing red that day. The orange kit. The orange kit was the 2018 5-0, wasn't it? Mane hat trick.
Yeah.
But this one was a quarterfinal in 2019, the 4-1. I think we'd won the first one. Was it the 2-0 at Anfield, wasn't it? And then this one was just the running away with it. I think there was another game on that was like a really big knockout game, and I was kind of flicking between. Was it Tottenham Man City or something going on and being crazy at the same time? Yeah, I'm sure I ended up watching that because we were already guaranteed to be through, and it was that Pep dropping to his knees, wasn't it? I'm sure it was the same night. So yeah, I was kind of flicking between the two because we'd already kind of qualified, and every time we scored a goal, just watching it back on the replay and switching back to Spurs City. But yeah, it was one of them, wasn't it? But I think we'd already knocked Bayern Munich out the round before, so we were quite lucky with the draw. I think there was Juventus, City, Barca still in there, and we got the Porto draw, which made a nice change. And then obviously after that, we had the infamous Barcelona ding dong, didn't we? The 3-0 down, 4-0 at Anfield, and yeah, the rest is history. It was a very, very successful season in the Champions League, and a little bit of respite, wasn't it? Really, because the Champions League from the quarterfinals can be very, very tough. You got 2 matches every other week against some of the best teams in Europe. So to have Bayern and then a Porto before a Barca, I think really helped us on our way. And then a very easy final opponent, dare I say, in Tottenham. So we definitely deserved it, but we did have a bit of luck with the draw as well that year. But yeah, anything like that, it's group stage. Obviously away goals aren't really going to be counted, and I don't think they do anyway now, do they? When we get to the knockouts now, so that's going to be a thing of the past, which is going to take some getting used to. But yeah, it's a group stage game. Porto are really going to be fighting for third place, I think, with Milan for your Europa League spot. So it's not so much one of my best memories of Liverpool fandom because we were already through after 20 minutes. I think we were 4-0 up on aggregate, so I wasn't serenading anything that particular night.
PK the GOAT, the man himself. Where were you on that night? What was you up to? What do you remember of that game?
It was actually a morning over here, so we were just waking up. I think it was about a 4:45 a.m. kickoff. So we were waking up, watching the game pretty much with one eye closed. But I remember watching that. I remember that performance and just thinking, who can stop us? Look, I just remember thinking, look, we're in this different kind of vibe continuing from the previous Champions League season, which obviously ended in heartbreak. But I remember the performance was so just perfect in every way possible. And then I was thinking, who can stop us? And the next game we lose 3-0. I think it was against Barca. So, I just that Champions League campaign alone, I remember put me through every possible emotion I think a human can go through from start to finish the whole way through. So I think that's my biggest memory of not just that game, but that whole Champions League season alone. Because then just the next fixture versus Barca, my God, what didn't you feel over 2 legs? That's easier to go through that. So going off off your question, my biggest memory is just every single emotion possible. Honest to God, that was it.
Yeah. I mean that Champions League season was an absolute roller coaster, and I remember watching that game and again looking at this, feeling the same as you, thinking to myself, we're untouchable. We're untouchable. It was at that point I knew that it's in the bag. I was like, it's in the bag. Like it's
already dismissed mine.
I was like, it's in the bag. Like I'm looking at it thinking, well, Sadio Mane has just sent Manuel Neuer to the shops for a pint of milk and a Liverpool Echo. So they've been dispatched. They were arguably one of the best teams in world football at that point. They were sensational, and we destroyed them. We then marched on to Porto and absolutely annihilate. It was emphatic. It was emphatic. There is no other word to describe it. And at that point, I'm like, it's in the bag. And then Messi turns up and pisses on my chips. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, yeah, maybe it's not in the bag. And then we know what happens at Anfield under the lights. And so many teams have dismissed. And do you know what? I always go on my little rants at the end of these shows, but especially this season, you're hearing some absolute smack talk from opponents about how Anfield is quiet and it's not the fortress that everyone thinks it is. It's not an intimidating atmosphere. Barcelona say otherwise. Dortmund say otherwise. Chelsea say otherwise.
They're pretty good against Milan when Courtney posted some photos and videos.
Exactly. Milan say otherwise. How many teams have come to Anfield in Champions League nights and absolutely been put to the sword? Manchester City say otherwise, mate. They just about made it out of there with their bus impact. Let's be honest. It was a real.
I'd love that to happen again this weekend. I'd love to do that again this weekend.
It was a real tough crowd that night. And guys in the comments and anybody watching that show, we are not inciting any violence against Manchester City. We are just literally reminiscing at how mental the atmosphere at Anfield on Champions League nights can be. And I think it's a good place to end because we are called the Kings of Europe for a reason. We're called the Comeback Kings for a reason because we never ever know when we're beaten.
Don't forget score predictions, eh?
Yes. Because Statman Stubbs love a score prediction. I think they're secretly kind of like maybe battling each other, or they're slyly. I
think he's one up against me at the moment.
Yeah,
4-3, I think it is.
It's like a game of chess. You can see the cogs ticking in SS's mind now. Knight to 4C and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Right, score predictions, and I'm going to come to PK the GOAT first because I'm going to leave these two to play their 3D chess and their mind games through the screen. SS is already looking at him in his eyes, and Statman Stubbs is taking a drink of water to say, "You can't get me," and he's going back at him as well. So we'll let these two stare lovingly into their eyes while PK gives his score prediction. What do you think is going to be against Porto, my man?
Yeah, I just want to get out of their way and just say this really quickly. I think 2-1 win.
2-1. So you think that we're not going to stop Porto from scoring?
No, especially if it's a rotated back four. Again, I just think cohesion, I just don't think that keeping a connection against Norwich was fine. I just think 2-1.
Okay. Guys in the comments here.
I'd love that, by the way. If Taki and Jones scored.
2-0. Taki Jones on the score sheet. Jesus.
Also, if that's a score there, if that actually happens, I'm doing the next show fucking shirtless. I don't care. Like that's
brilliant.
Clip it. SS, clip it. PK the GOAT has said if it is 2-0, Taki and Jones on the score sheet.
I think he should do it if Taki gets on the pitch. That's rare enough.
If Taki gets a start, we're all going topless.
Don't worry, it won't happen.
Johnny B Red is going with 3-1 LFC. Chris Welch, Peter will regret saying that.
I don't really will. I think he's safe.
My prediction is 2-0. Guys in the comments, get your score predictions in now. Where do I go? Next? We got a couple of guys going. I'll hold to SS is throwing his hand in the air. Look, that is that power move. That's the
Microsoft Teams, isn't it?
That's the Queen going to take out your knight. He's 3D chessing you. He's ready. Look, SS score predictions, bro. Where are you going with this? What do you think the score is going to be in Porto?
So it was 0-0, wasn't it? Porto Atletico. I don't think Porto are going to score. I hope they don't score, but I'm not going to go too cavalier. I'm going to go 2-0. And what PK said is right. Depending on how much we rotate, it's very difficult to predict a score. You don't know the back four, you don't know the front three. But I do think, I've got kind of a Jota Atalanta away vibe in my mind. So fingers crossed, something like that, but not quite as successful. So I'll go 2-0, same as Chris.
Okay. SS is coming with a 2-0. Statman Stubbs is looking with a cunning eye.
He's like, do I match him? Do I change it up?
Yeah, because look, he's super cool. He's like, listen, cucumbers around here, son. we don't get flustered by little SS score predictions. Listen. He's up by 1, so he's sitting there thinking, "Don't worry about you,
I'm coming
mate."
for you.
Meanwhile, SS is morphing into Yoda trying to play Jedi mind. So, Statman Stubbs, where are you going with your score prediction?
Different to SS, which you'll be pleased to hear.
Yeah.
I'm going to be confident in 3-1 away win, and I'm gonna go for Salah to get a brace and Mane.
Nice.
Okay. So SS and Statman Stubbs and PK the GOAT have given their score predictions. SS saying 2-0, PK the GOAT saying 2-1, SMS Statman Stubbs saying 3-1. So my score prediction. Do you know what? I'm gonna go with my chest. I think 4-1. I think 4-1. I think an emphatic statement is going to get made. I think Jurgen Klopp is going to come out, and I think that Jota, Mane, and Salah start, and I can see goals. I can see real goals. I think Jota is going to want to go back because he's played for Porto before, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I think Jota is going to want to go back and make a statement in his homeland, in his home country, and pop up with some goals. I think Jota bags a brace. Personally, I think Mane helps himself to 1, and I think Salah helps himself to 1 also. But then again, Firmino could come in and contribute because he likes Porto as well. But guys, that's been the Fab 4 for your Porto preview. Thank you for joining us on the Red Sea podcast as well. Been an absolute pleasure hosting for you guys. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, thank you for 370 subscribers. We're currently at 371 subscribers. So thank you to every single one of you that has locked in, shown your support for the Red Sea podcast this far. If you haven't already, like I said, please hit that like and subscribe button as well. I want to make sure that we get as much of you locked in as well, just so you can see what's happening with the Red Sea podcast going forward. And that brings me nicely on, SS, to what we have coming up for the rest of the week.
So we'll be on LFC Day Trippers straight after the game for our Raw match reaction after the game tomorrow, me and James. Friday night, we've got the Manchester City Fab 4 Day preview as well. And then again, on Sunday evening, we'll be doing LFC Day Trippers full time. And Statman will be pleased to know international break means striker tier lists are on their way. It's been a long time waiting for those. So we'll be definitely getting some of them out of the way, maybe get a couple of them done. Work our way towards that ultimate 11. So lots coming up, and I'm sure Peter's got a lot coming up on the Down Under show as well.
Exactly. PK to go over to you. And then guys, those of you that don't know, we do have an Australian segment, the Red Sea podcast Down Under, streaming off exactly the same YouTube channel as we have at the moment. And one show which I love, like, guys, honestly, this is one of the best shows on the internet. It is The Training Ground, hosted by very own PK the GOAT. So PK, I'm going to give you a little bit of the floor right now. Tell the viewers a little bit about The Training Ground and where to find it and when to lock in, because honestly, this show has got so much right in terms of Liverpool tactics and performances thus far. I think we're on a bit of a record at the moment as how many performances you've predicted so far.
Yeah, it's been quite lucky, to be fair. I don't want to jinx it because we're in a good rhythm, as Klopp likes to say. Look, the show, we normally do it 8 p.m. Australian time on a Thursday, which is 11 a.m. UK Thursday. And that's been quite consistent on the Thursday. But if you stay in touch with our page, if it ever changes, we obviously announce it that there's a time change. But what we do is through like just some platforms that we have, we go into like a deep dive analysis into our opposition, and basically we find ways how to hurt them or stop them or whatever it is, or how they can hurt us. We kind of mentioned against Brentford that our left side, their left side is their strength, and how, obviously they score their 3 goals from their left. And then we also mentioned a bit of a Curtis Jones screamer, which will be clipped and out there today for proof. And obviously we've seen that. So we've been in a good way. Obviously the Manchester City game coming up puts us under a lot of pressure. So, which is going to be an interesting one.
We believe in you.
It's like Cara and Henri tonight on the M&F.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I think the quick answer for me so far for the training ground is it's going to be a midfield battle, and that's what's going to be the title of the show, midfield battle. And I think if we fall asleep again in terms of tracking runners versus AC Milan versus Crystal Palace versus Brentford, we're in a lot of trouble. So I just fingers crossed that the show I changed my mind after doing a bit of research.
Big shout out to 1892 podcast. Yes, you are late, sir. You are very, very late because we're just about to wrap up. But guys, if you have missed anything on this show as well, clips will be coming out later on this evening. I will pop a few clips out as well. And also you see a few clips coming out over the progress of tomorrow also. And guys, like I said, if you want to watch any more content back as well, make sure you are locked in and make sure you are keeping it Red Sea Podcast. But that's bye from me, Tiago's father 89, my co-host Southern Scouser, PK the GOAT. Thank you for joining us as well. Statman Stubbs, again, thank you for joining us as well. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host tonight. But we're going to leave you with the little outro that we've got here as well. Thank you for joining us. It's been absolutely great.